Okay. Sorry, let me introduce myself. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we still have a lady in the house. I know this morning we were quite a sizable number here. I hope you had a wonderful first session for the day. And I do hope also that you had the time to participate in the this time post-lecture quiz. We're having only one quiz today. This session is a practical one, so there's no quiz to it. That's why we decided that since we're having two papers in the day, instead of having a pre-lecture quiz, we'll take a post-lecture quiz for the first paper. Yesterday, one of our participants raised the issue of if there's a need for us to post the scores of the quiz on the platform. And I did respond then that it's a matter of choice, really. We have access to the quiz results already. So whether you post it or not, we really are able to have access to it and do the analysis that we want. But we simply want you to share your scores and experience with your colleagues, so that at least it will also encourage them. So yeah, okay, so that we're also able to encourage others and have as much as possible participatory exercise as much as possible. Because when your colleagues see that you do well, they will also be propelled and encouraged to try and work harder and make sure that if somebody else is able to do it, why wouldn't they also be able to do it? All right, so that basically explains that. So it's optional. If you want, you post. If you don't, nobody's going to force you to do that. Right. So as you can see on our screen already, we have the topic for the day. Today, Thursdays, we normally take two topics. This practical section, we normally take it on Fridays, but Fridays, Muslim brothers that participate in the program, mostly when they leave the class, they don't come back again after the first paper. So we thought we should shift it to Thursday. And why we are doing this is because you're all aware that any kind of facility you want to access in a bank or admission or whatever you are applying for, there's always forms to be completed. And these forms are always normally important and critical. So we need to have this practical session where we're able to explain it to participants. And our experience with it is that much as we have this practical session, when participants are done with the training and they are now invited to complete the forms, the loan application forms, and then they begin to inundate us with calls, with all sorts of messages, and then they hold us down for hours on end discussing how to complete the forms. We are going for interview, virtual, we have to go through virtually the same thing on and on again. So we thought it's important that we hold this session so that we're able to explain it to people. Yesterday, I almost had a quarrel with somebody who for the past over 1 week, we have dwelled on just one thing, how to complete this form. And I told him, my friend, we spent 2 hours this practical session on completion of the form. We are done, and he has continued to call me. And most of the people that he participated with in batch 20 have submitted. In fact, we have done the business plans of most of those ones. And up to today, we are discussing virtually the same thing. So it's important that at least members are able to pay attention to it. Half of the class, as it were, are not here now, but I can bet you that by the time they come to complete this form, we'll have to go virtually through it all over again. And we have to just be patient to try and see how much, as much as possible, that we're able to put them through. But we like that members pay a little attention to this so that we are all able to do a very good thing. Like I explained, completing forms for any application you want to have, especially if you're applying for loan, is one of the critical things that you have to do, because that will be the basis for assessing your submission and then deciding whether to grant you the facility or not. Okay, so let's see if we'll be able to do justice to this. They will be looking at 3 different forms. The first form is more of a questionnaire, which we administer on our participants, and that's what provides us the basis for the development of the business plan. Then the second one is the AGNIS loan application form itself. That is derived directly from the bank itself. And while you are completing it for us now, for the purpose of developing the business plan, when you go for the interview also, the bank will still give you the same set of forms to complete. And then the final one is the second type of form they will be giving you for the interview. They call it pre-approval interview form. From our understanding, as from next year, they will be changing the entire format. After the training, what they will ask you to do, they will reach you directly and then send you a set of forms on the system, which you complete and return to them. So they won't have to call you to their bank for interview again. So this one will purely be between you and them. Under that circumstance, unless we are able to see the kind of forms they will be giving you, will not be able to know what kind of questions they will be asking on those forms, but I'm sure it will be as straightforward and interactive as possible. All right, so having said that, let's now look at this, go through this form, and then starting first by looking at the learning objectives. I've already talked about all of this to highlight the importance of the AGNIS loan application form. Secondly, to understand the importance of each section of the form. And then third, to explain the expected responses from each section and preparation for interview. And then finally, submission process. There's a submission process. You don't just complete the form and then submit. You will be expected to go through some process in the submission, in the course of the submission. Okay, so the loan documentation process, the whole essence of this training, this training which you are all attending, is on how to assess the National Microfinance Bank loan facility. Okay, that's basically what it is. It's part of one of the mandatory conditions that you have to fulfill: a training and then the business plan development. Okay, so there is a process flow. There's a process flow, sorry, for assessing the loan, and this is as follows. First is you get trained, which is what we are doing now. Top on the process flow is getting trained, which is what we are doing now. Then apply for the loan through your EDI. CEDRON is your EDI, so you are applying for the loan through us as your EDI, because we have to follow up on your loan submission and then the processes with the National Microfinance Bank. Then you are expected to complete the loan application form and submit to your EDI, submit to us, and then we forward it to National Microfinance Bank. That is the process. You're not expected to submit the form directly, but unless, of course, when you want to do you want to prepare the business plan yourself, then you can go ahead and do that. But the expectation is that you process the form and then you submit it through your EDI. Finally, create your profile on the NASA loan portal. What this means is that if you are doing your business plan yourself and you're not coming to us in the form of consultancy for you to do it, for us to do it, sorry, you have to create your own profile on the NASA Microfinance loan portal. What it means is that you access the portal, the address is given here, nmfb.com.ng/SME. So if you enter this address into your system, if you Google it, you enter into your system, it will take you to the NASA loan portal. And from there, you will now follow the steps, the various steps, either registering anew or signing in. And then there will be prompts for you on how to go about the whole process of developing a business plan. But this is for those who intend to do the business plan themselves. If we are doing it for you, then of course the process we will have to handle. We will create the profile for you and the rest of the procedures. Yeah. All right. So the AGMIS mini business plan questionnaire. This is the first questionnaire that we'll be looking at, the first form that we'll be looking at. Okay, we're saying that for our own purpose, that's purely for our own purpose, we have developed the AGMIS mini business plan questionnaire, from which we're able to generate the data required to develop the business plan. Okay, so this one specifically is for our own purpose. We developed it. And then, of course, I'm sure most of you have seen this form because we send, for those of you who are not in Abuja, even for those who are in Abuja and cannot able to come over to our office, we have sent the soft copy, the electronic copies to your WhatsApp account or your email mailbox for you to download and then print. So you are all familiar with this one, but we'll be looking at it now. We will go through this form so that participants will be guided, appropriately guided on the completion of the form. All right, so we have it now on our screen. Sure, you can all see it. This is the AGMIS mini business plan questionnaire. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Those who haven't will eventually will have to have a copy which they will complete and return to us. But like I said, it's more of a questionnaire purely for our own purpose to help in developing your business plan for you. All right, so the form is divided into different sections. We have the individual info, we have the educational qualification, we have the business info, and then the details of business ownership, then details of staff, and then the marketing strategy. So we'll go through it section by section so that we'll have a clear understanding of what it entails. Quickly, the individual info is very straightforward. All you can see it asks is name of applicant, surname, other names, gender. You have to affix your passport size photograph. Then the second is home address. That's where you live, where you can be reached in terms of your residence, your home resident address. Then the closest landmark. Why we are putting the closest landmark is that we are familiar, we are all aware of the kind of shortfall we have in this country with respect to addresses. Most of our cities are not well marked in terms of street names, in terms of house numbering. So most times you find when people are describing their residence or offices to you, you always give a landmark as to where to be able to help in guiding you. That helps a lot substantially. But many cities are beginning to work on this deficiency, especially if you go to Anambra State, Awka today. They are giving street names and street numbers, house numbers for almost all the streets and houses in the city. Right, then date of birth, you need to give us your date of birth, state of origin, that's your state of origin, then phone number, your email address, then your BVN. BVN is very important here because it stands more like the collateral for us here. Of course, for those who fear that people might tamper with their BVN, I want to assure you that that's not likely to happen because just having somebody's BVN does not make it your account easily accessible. Where there's a combination of the BVN and then the PIN numbers, maybe that's where you stand the risk of that. What the BVN here is to assist the bank in the area of tracking loan defaulters. In case you are able to access the loan and you are defaulting, it's through your BVN that the bank will be able to reach you. Remember, the CBN has given an approval on what it calls a GSI, where if you are defaulting in one, you take a facility from Bank A, and then you are not servicing the facility, and then move all your banking transaction to Bank B. The CBN has given authority for the Bank A to be able to approach Bank B, where they trace your BVN to be able to recover its money. So that's where the importance of the BVN element here. Mode of identification. We have various modes of identification in the country for your international passport, your national identity card, to driver's license, voter's card. Okay, so all these are modes of identification. And then, of course, ID number. On each of these mode of identification, there's an ID number. So we have all this wanting this information is given to us. Okay, email address, we talked about that already. Password, you will not need to give us your password for now. We'll create one when we are developing the business plan for you. But if you are going to do that yourself, then of course you can be able to make those provisions. In any case, we will not be completing this form for us. Okay, educational qualification, name of institution, that's the name of the institution you attended, qualification attend, give us any level of your qualification which you want us to show. Just give us one, it will be all right. Yesterday, somebody called me, I was accusing us that he gave us 4 of his qualifications and we were only able to recognize one. We say, well, these are more or less more formalities. If you have up to PhD and you write all of that, the system will just pick maybe one of it and it will suffice because that's the information required. Then the course of study, indicate that. Then date certificates what awarded. All you need to do in this instance is just the year of graduation, not necessarily the day, months, and all that. Okay. Then business info, business information. Okay, here do you have a registered company? Yes or no? Okay, if you have a registered company and you want to use it as part of the loan application, you can indicate it. Where you don't, you can leave it out. Yesterday, I understand there was a little controversy on the platform and we were being called and told that one of our facilitators did say that unless you have a registered company, they will not give you the loan. Well, that might be so with some other loan facilities, but for this particular one, it is a personal loan. So whether you have a registered company or not, whether you have a registered name, registered company or not, it's immaterial. The most important thing is that you give your name. So for name of company, for example, where you don't have a registered company, it's important that you give us your name as the name of the company. So in this instance, for example, all you indicate is you say Sati Farms, okay, or Sati Poultry, or Sati Fishery, so that will suffice, okay, or Sati Ventures. Whether it's registered or not, it's immaterial. Okay, it's a personal loan, so it's you as an individual that the loan is being tied to. I think I need to make this clarification for those who were so worried yesterday and keep calling and calling. I hope those who raised that issue are in the class today for this clarification. Okay, so it's important that we have that at the back of our mind. Whether you have a registered company or not, it's immaterial. Registered name, immaterial, so long as you give us your name assigned to it, okay? Then your address, if you have a registered company, you can give us the address of the company. If not, you can give us your home address, the same address you use under your personal info, individual info, okay? That will suffice. Closest landmark to the address, I've already explained that. State, that state where the business is located, where you're located now. Nationality, you let us know your nationality, that's your country of origin. Then type of business, type of business. Here, you tell us the type of business you want to go into, and then the business sector. I'll scroll to some few pages ahead so that we look at the various type of businesses that we have. Okay, so on this page, this one provides us the type of business that we have, the business activities. So it could be poultry, type of business activity, could be poultry, could be fishery, could be tailoring, could be furniture making, organic, printing, catering services, hairdressing, bakery, organic cream making, ICT, animal husbandry, carpentry, masonry, curb and electric pole making, lock making, welding, and fabrication, and agri and agro-allied processing. All these are various types of business activity. All these are different types of business activity. Then in terms of sector, we have agriculture, we have fashion and design, ICT, media/publishing, beauty and cosmetics, mining, hospitality, cosmetics, beauty and makeup artistry, and then cottage industry. So what we have here, we find that for what the business type of business is, and then the sector. So if you are in poultry, fishery, for example, you are basically in agriculture. If you are in tailoring, you are basically in fashion and design. If you are in hair making, organic, cream making, you fall under cosmetics, and then beauty, makeup artistry. If you're in bakery, catering services, you fall under hospitality. That's how we differentiate between the business activity and the sector. So let's go back to our form now again, and then continue from there. So that explains the type of business and then the business sector, right? Stage of business, is it a startup or existing? When we say startup, it means that a business idea that you have up your sleeves, but there's nothing on ground yet. You haven't started putting anything on ground. It's still within conceptual levels. Okay, so you haven't started anything to do with implementation. Then existing, of course, is one that you have already started doing something, even if it's at a very rudimentary level. If, for example, you have just one sewing machine in your sitting room, which you use as sewing things for your friends and relations and those who like your handwork, and then they come to, you make dresses for them, that's already an existing business. So what you want to do is to expand. Where you have maybe a couple of chicken in your backyard, which you rear, and then for within targeted market during festivities, and then you sell at that point in time, that is already an existing business, okay? It's already an existing business which you will need to expand, okay? So if it's just a startup, you indicate. If it's existing, you indicate. And if it's existing, then you indicate the number of years of operation. All right, business vision, mission, and business objectives. Here, you'll be expected to give us the vision and the mission of your business. We are all familiar, I'm sure, with, I've seen several of such business visions. If you take the brochure of most organizations, on the very first page, you will see indicated the business vision. That's the vision of that line of business, what it sets out to do. A business vision, an organization's vision normally is the larger picture, what you intend to be going forward, okay? Your projection in the next 10, 20 years, next 50 years, what you've set out to be. Okay, that is the vision of your organization. How you capture, you normally say to be this, this, this. So let's say, for example, you are setting up a poultry farm in the FCT, and then your aspiration is to be the largest mechanized poultry farm. That is your vision. Okay, so what you are saying in essence is that in the next 10 to 20 years, you want to be the largest mechanized poultry farm in the FCT. That is your vision. So to write your vision statement is to indicate that to be the largest mechanized poultry farm in the FCT. That is your vision. Okay, your mission. What about the mission? The mission, of course, is how you intend to get to the vision. Okay, the processes, the procedures, and the steps you need to take to get to your vision. Okay, so for purpose of vision statement, therefore mission statement, therefore you indicate that through technology and mechanized processes to be the largest mechanized poultry farm in the FCT. Okay, so using technology and mechanized system are those steps, are the mission, these various steps you intend to take to get to your vision. So that's how we captured both the vision and then the mission statement. And then, of course, the business objective. What are the business objectives? Okay, if you are into poultry, of course, the business objective is to provide customers and consumers in the FCT with all their, with most of their egg meats and then the poultry products within the territory. So that is the objective. Okay. If you're into tailoring, of course, to provide bespoke material, bespoke dresses for residents of the FCT. So whatever line of business you are, there is a business objective, and that objective is why you set up the business. Okay, if we are setting up an eatery, of course, to be one of the most highly visible, and then providing food and entertainment to residents of their environment. So this is how we are able to differentiate between the mission, the vision, and then the objective. The objective, of course, covers what that business has been set up to do. And then the vision is the larger picture. Mission is how you accomplish that larger mission. Do you belong to a cooperative society? Yes or no? You're not a member of a cooperative, you just simply say no. If you are, then you give us the name of the cooperative society. Details of business ownership. Right. Tomorrow, our barrister legal man will come in, and then he'll be discussing more about areas of business ownership. Here we are looking at the types of businesses that we have. Is it sole proprietorship or is it registered company? Sole proprietorship is where you are the sole owner, the only owner of that line of business. So in terms of shareholding, it's 100% yours, okay? So just give us the name, say Sati Ventures, and you are the sole proprietor, okay? But if it's a registered company, then of course it has to be something like Sati Nigeria Limited. Then you know that this is a registered company with more than one owner. So we could have up to 3 or 4 or 5 owners, okay? And then of course we now give us the shareholding structure of that company. The main person who is the manager, MD or GM, and then he has maybe 50%, then the others will have 25 or thereabout. So give us 100%. So that is how you complete that section. Then details of staff. Any organization that run, any business that you run, it's not likely that even if you are the sole proprietor, you are not likely to be the sole staff of that organization. You have people who are working with you in that business and then doing different things, having different areas of responsibility. So if you take, for example, the poultry business, we've been giving an example, then of course, you have a farm manager who is responsible for the overall management of the farm. You have laborers who take care of the cleaning, the feeding, and all of that. You have the driver who drives the delivery van, and then you have an accountant, a salesperson. All of this, you give the names, and then there are various areas of responsibility. So that's basically what that section expects of us. Marketing, type of product. What type of product are you marketing? If you're a poultry business, of course, you know that the type of products will be eggs and birds, either live or dressed birds, okay? Cost of production. Cost of production is the totality of the amount that goes into producing one crate of egg or one live bird. Okay, so all of the inputs that go into it will become the composite cost for that production. Selling price. If your cost of production is how much do you sell at? If your cost of production is higher than the cost of sales, of course, you know you're running a bad business. So you have to know basically you're able to match the cost of production and then the cost of sales. Location of business. Where is the location of your business? If you're in FCT, you indicate. If you're in Kubwa and then facing that market squarely, you let us know. Okay, right. Then now the second page. We're on the second page of the form now. Here you'll be expected to do a SWOT analysis. Yesterday you did feasibility studies and business plans. And one of the issues I'm sure you guys discussed is on SWOT analysis. Mr. Machi, I'm sure discussed at length with you what SWOT analysis is all about. Any business that you are going to go into, it is expected that you will do a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, for every kind of business that you go into, you find that you have areas of strength. Those are your key areas of competencies. Okay, your key areas of competencies where you know you have critical advantage over those who are also in that same line of business. And those are the things that position you to do better and well in that line of business. So those are your key areas of strength. Then weaknesses. Of course, it's not all about strength. There are bound to be areas of weaknesses that you might face. Maybe you don't have enough resources, and maybe that's why you want to access this facility. Yeah, networking is still low. You are just coming into the business, so you are not quite known. Your brand is still very new. You haven't carved out a niche for yourself. So all this could be weaknesses. Weaknesses, strengths and weaknesses are internal to you, internal to the business, internal to the enterprise, okay? So these are things that are within you, your strengths within you, within the organization, within the staff, and then the management. Weaknesses are also within the organization, within the enterprise and its staffing, okay? Opportunities, on the other hand, are things that we find within the environment. that we could exploit to our advantage, because these are conditions, policies that maybe that are in place that makes their line of business to be very favorable to you, and for you to be able to explore that opportunities granted by the policy measures that are on ground. Then, of course, threats. Anything that we do, there always will find that there are threats within that same environment. Okay, things that threaten your line of business, things that are like obstacles and barriers to accomplishing your goals. So opportunities and threats are normally external to you, external to the enterprise, external to the organization, while strengths and weaknesses are internal to you. These ones, opportunities and threats are outside, external to you, things you don't have control over. Okay, government makes a policy today that we are changing policy on the ABCD. You find that that one is outside of your control. There's little you can do. It could either help your business or become a threat to your business. Okay, there's insecurity in the land, threats to life and property. People are not able to go to their farms. These are threats. These are external to you. They are outside of your control. So for you to be able to successful in that area, then of course you know that somebody else has to provide the security within that environment. So let's give an example of, let's do a quick SWOT analysis, give an example of how we do a SWOT analysis using the example of our poultry farmers as we've been using for a while now. Please, just a minute. Right. So let's take this. Let's use the poultry farm, for example, as an example to do our SWOT analysis. So you are starting let's use the example that we'll be using, the Sati poultry farm, for example. Sorry, Sati, don't take offense. We are using you as an example. You're the most visible person I can see on my screen. So that's why we're using you as an example. All right. Just a minute. So if we take a static poultry, for example, what are the strengths? Okay, the strengths of static poultry, for example, could be that they have highly qualified and dedicated staff. Okay, you guys have been in the business for a while. You have worked in other places before you now decide to come down to set up your own poultry farm. Okay, so you have highly qualified and dedicated staff. That is a major strength. Okay, you have excellent marketing and managerial skills. Okay, as a manager of the farms, you have a background from maybe university, polytechnic diploma in poultry, in agriculture. You've since graduation, you have worked in that line of area. So you have this excellent marketing and managerial skills to run the place. That is an area of strength. Well, you have strong technical know-how of how to do the business because of your very experience in that line of business. You have this high, strong technical know-how of the business. So all these are areas of strength. Okay, it's internal to you, it's internal to the organization, it's internal to the staff. We're looking at the staff, we're looking at the management, and then we're looking at the technical component, the technology, and then that's the execution of that line of business, how you execute that line of business. So these are areas of strength. Then in terms of weaknesses, we find that you have poor distribution network. This could be because you don't have, for example, a delivery van. So you might produce all the eggs you want and then the best, but you don't have the means of taking them to the market. You don't have the means of reaching your customers. That could be a major weakness in that area. Or you have insufficient funds to expand. That's why you want to access this loan facility. Okay, so while you have all the technical know-how, the marketing strategies, and all of that, okay, but you do not have the funds, sufficient funds to expand. So you find that you are stuck to just 500 beds, 1,000 beds, when you have the capacity to reach up to 10,000 beds at a go. Okay, so how do you expand? This is it's a weakness for you, and that's why you want to access this loan facility today. Okay. Then unpopularity of your brand, just because you're coming into the market, you find suddenly, of course, your brand is not very, very popular. There are others who are in that same line of business who are doing so well, who are well known. Those are the first poultry farms people visit when they are looking for birds and eggs. Okay, but then you are trying to build up your own. Okay, so that could be a weakness in that area. The opportunities. What are the opportunities for poultry farmers? We know today, for example, that there is a very favorable government policy in agriculture. Okay, Just yesterday, we were hearing that they were lifting the ban on our borders that were locked down for the past 8 to so months. Okay, but then the government policy that has subsisted since then still remains in place. The ban on poultry products, the ban on importation of rice. Okay, so this is a favorable government policy for those who are into agriculture, who are into poultry farming. Okay, previously we used to import poultry products from all over the world, from eggs, birds, live, and then and processed birds. But there is a ban on that. So that what that has done is a favorable government policy for those who are into poultry business, okay, which means they can go ahead and continue to expand their market. To expand their market, why? Because there's already an existing market. There's a massive existing market. Why we population over 200 million people. So this is a vast, large market. And then, of course, we know that there is this trend today, medical issues involving consumption of meat. Okay, doctors are discouraging the consumption of red meat. Okay, this well, here all manners of talk about cholesterol and things like that, and so government is promoting white meats, that's fish and chicken. Okay, without the skin. Okay, so that is an area of advantage for most people who are into poultry farm. They know more and more people will be consuming chicken. This festive period, the prices of chicken has gone up substantially, and this is because of the demand, the existing market for it. And then there's an all-year demand. This chicken, the demand for chicken is not just seasonal; it's an all-year demand. Every month of the year, every day, every week, there is a demand for chicken. On a weekly basis, you go to our markets, the number of chicken being slaughtered. On a day-to-day basis, those who are into barbecue, suya, and all of those things are busy buying chicken. So there is an all-year demand for chicken. So all these are opportunities, very, very favorable opportunities for people who want to go into poultry farming. So what about the threats? What are the threats? Because of this favorable government policy, because of the all year round demand, and then because of the already existing market, there is also the other side effect, stiff competition. More and more people are also going into poultry farming. So the competition is very, very stiff. Okay, so everybody is trying to outdo each other, trying to undercut each other. So that is an area of threats. Okay, then secondly, there is the threat of insecurity. We all know what's happening in our country today. People have been driven off their farms because of bandits, because of kidnappers. Okay, in Zamfara State, we hear that the rice farmers there, they cannot go and harvest unless they pay some kind of ransom. If not, they will be kidnapped. So that is a real essential problem that we have in our country today. Okay, threats of insecurity. We have cattle rustling, we have poultry farms being raided and birds being stolen and eggs being carted away. So all these are threats of insecurity, which is external to you. It's within the environment. It's not within your powers. Okay. Then, of course, the other issue is disease prevalence. Poultry farm is very, very susceptible to disease, to issues of diseases. We have the avian flu, we have the bird flu, all of those things. Okay, so one of the most critical stages in rearing chicken is the day old, when they are the day old chick level. Okay, they are very, very susceptible, very vulnerable to all manners of diseases. So you need the not just the feeds number, you need the vaccines, you need all the necessary conditions, a readily available medical vet doctor that will attend to it. If not, you could simply lose all your birds overnight. So these are the threats within the poultry business. So this how we do your SWOT analysis. And this template you can use for any line of business you are into. Okay, if it's crop farming, you can use the same thing. Basically, your know-how, your technical know-how, your ability, and all that. The weaknesses, of course, will be in terms of maybe your resources, distribution. The same thing also in terms of opportunities, government policies, the really available market, threats also basically the same. So whatever line of business you are into, you can use this same template to explain, to do your SWOT analysis. And it's quite a straightforward and very, very interesting form of analysis, really. Any line of business that you can think about, you can do a SWOT analysis to be able to capture basically what it entails in that respect. Okay. This is done for us to be able to guide you before you make those decisions. That's why in yesterday's paper, when you want to do a feasibility studies, these are some of the components of feasibility studies. These are the things that you need to look out for to be sure that, look, this business is going to be viable, it's going to be sustainable, I can go into it and then still be able to stand, hold my own on top of the waters. That is what SWOT analysis helps you to do in the course of your feasibility studies. Business competition, name of competitor. Of course, like, as I did say that part of the threats if you are in the poultry business is stiff competition, and basically the same for any line of business that you are in. Really, there's always a competitor, because there's no way you'll be the only person in a line of business activity, unless you are producing a proprietary item that you are the only, you have the patent, and you are the only person that can create, design, and design and create that line of product. But if it's a general line of business, then you can be sure that you have other competitors. So name of competitor, if you don't know the name of a specific competitor in your field, you can simply say other poultry farmers or other tailors or other rice farmers and the like. That is the other competitors. What are their products? The same line of products that you're into. For example, if you are into poultry farming, of course, the same chicken and eggs, that's the type of product. Location, of course, will be, if you are in FCT, that's the location of your competitor. If it's in Cuba, Buhari, or wherever, Google, you indicate where your competitor also is located. What is their competitor's cost of production? One of the things that we do, if we're going into any line of business whatsoever, is to first do some kind of survey around the place. Try to find out the line of business you are interested in. You want to know how much those who are already in that line of business are producing, the cost of their production, and how much they are selling, so that you don't come and overprice yourself out of the market. You're just trying to come into the market. There's every likelihood that you would rather want to bring your own cost at a little bit lower rate, so that you'll be able to attract those who find the cost of your competitors to be on the higher side. So you have to have an idea of what the cost of your competitors' cost of production is all about. What makes your product different or unique? If there are any things that make your product unique or different, then you let us know. You know, the very first paper that we took on entrepreneurship, we did talk about your unique selling point, USP. Okay, so if there's anything that makes your unique selling point in your line of product, you highlight it. But if you are into poultry, for example, there can't be much of a difference, because an egg is an egg, a chicken is a chicken, whichever farm it's coming from. Unless you are branding it with some kind of marker, there isn't likely going to be much of a difference. And the rest, of course, the kind of eggs that you produce is substantially bigger, but if not, most eggs are virtually the same, irrespective of what farms they are coming from. Okay, company assets. What are the company assets? Here, if you already have an existing business, of course, you have some basic items in that business. If you are into tailoring, of course, you have sewing machine. Those are sewing machines. You have your cutters, you have your ironing boards, and all of those things. These are existing company assets. If you are into poultry, you're likely to have your chicken pens. You are likely to have a generator, a borehole, a delivery van. All these are company assets. But when you don't have any asset as of now, when you are applying for this loan, even your personal assets are part of your company assets, because remember we say it's a personal loan. So your car, for example, could be part of your assets. That could be regarded as part of the company's assets. So you give us the price, the year of purchase, and then the lifespan. Cash at hand in bank, you can leave that one out for now. Monthly expenses. Monthly expenses. How do you determine your monthly expenses? And we've highlighted the items there in terms of rents, administrative costs, salaries, utilities, raw materials, others. Here, what you do, if you are renting a land, for example, leasing a land for your poultry farm or your fish farm or your rice farm, of course, the total amount, and then you divide it by 12 to be able to get the monthly expenses. If it's an office space, the shop space you are hiring for your tailoring, this thing, for example, if the cost of the shop per annum is 450,000 naira, Then of course the monthly, to get the monthly expenses, you divide it by 12. So it will give you an idea of what the monthly cost of the rent is. It's only in Nigeria that we rent houses and pay for 1 year, 2 years ahead. All over the world, if you are renting a place, you pay on a month-to-month basis, because everybody knows that you are paid on a month-to-month basis, and nobody is going to ask you to pay for 1 year. Where are you going to go and get the money from? But typically in Nigeria, only God knows where we got that tradition from. So we charge ourselves on a yearly basis, or if you have entry for the first time, you'll be asked to pay for 2 years in the first instance, which is quite benign, really. And then administrative costs. These are the costs for things like the stationaries, the ink, the papers, and things like that you use, or your buttons, the trade and things like that you use in your tailoring shop. Salaries, of course, that's the salary stipends you pay to those who work for you. You know what you pay them on a monthly basis. If you don't know, you know the total amount per annum, you divide by the number of staff, and then on the number of months to be able to get the monthly expenses. You do the same also for the utilities and the raw materials. Okay, loan requirement, loan amount. For loan amounts, the bank, if you are a startup, the maximum amount of money the bank will give you is 5 million. If you're an existing business, the highest amount is 10 million. So you decide. If it's a startup, you say you indicate 5 million. If it's existing, you indicate 10 million. Tenure of the loan is 7 years. Okay? There's a moratorium of 1 year or 18 months, depending on the type of business. Any existing loan, if you have any existing loan, you indicate. If no, you say no. If yes, then you indicate, and then the year expiry date. Okay. Then name of financial institution. If you have an existing loan, then you give the name of the financial institution where you got the loan from. Okay. Then loan utilization. In the next form we'll be looking at, I will give a breakdown on the loan utilization. But for our purpose here, you indicate is rent part of what you'll be using the loan for? If it is, then you indicate the amount. Here you'll be giving us the annual amount, not the monthly amount now. Okay, administrative costs. What kind of administrative costs are you looking at? You indicate the amount. Utilities, this represents your water bill, for example, your electricity bill. You give us the total amount per annum. Machineries, I give example of machineries. For example, you require in tailoring shop, so you highlight them, then the total amount, then the raw materials, these are the fabrics that you use in your tailoring shop, for example, or the day-old chicks, layers and rollers that you use in your poultry farm. All these are your raw materials, the feeds and all of that. So you give us the amount per annum. Right. Finally, in this form, referees. Give us the names of 2 referees. Okay, it's very important, because if you don't give us these names, we'll still have to call you to give us the names. Okay, 2 names, then the phone number, and then their addresses. Okay, so that's how we go about this in this instance. All right, so we have come to the end of the first form. So we'll try to, what we do at this point is we'll open the floor so that you'll be able to, if you have any comments you want to make, then you let us know how we go about. You unmute your mic, and then you ask your question. Okay. Right. So if you have any question, you can unmute your mic, or you can go to the chat box and then and do that. Okay. So it's not allowing participants to unmute. Okay, it's muted now. All right, so if you have any question, please, you can unmute your mic. Can you open the platform? Can you unmute your mic if you have any questions to ask? Can you open up this? Hmm? I can see whoever you can, okay, but it's not my own. All right, please, you can unmute your mic if you have any questions to ask. Unmute your mic and ask any question. Sati, Hilda, Christy, Anselm, the ones in the class, you have any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, sir. Thank you for all the explanations.
Thank
When I
you.
went to
Your line
register,
is faint. Can you speak out a bit?
can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
okay, good, yeah.
Okay. So I said I want to commend you. The session was quite explanatory.
All right.
When I went to register, when I was filling the form, they
Mm.
said I shouldn't bother about. There were some areas, some of which you just explained now.
Yeah.
They said I shouldn't bother. I should just impute my referees. And now you're explaining all of them. So I don't know how to add up this and then me not feeling it.
Yeah, okay. What we normally like to do is we encourage participants to wait a bit until after this particular lecture so that they can complete it. But most times people are anxious and they want to quickly complete the form and all that. But like I said, this particular one is internal to us. So when we say you can leave it, it's to the intent that because of the we sit down and keep answering questions and all of that, and we're not able to get across to it easily. So that's why we say you can leave it, complete the other necessary parts, and then leave that will complete it. But just for you to have an idea of how it should be completed. And then, of course, there are some among you that have not completed yet. So this is for also for their own benefit so that they have a better understanding of all the expectations. But where you didn't complete it, this is for you to know the expectations, to have an understanding of what it entails. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, sir. So please, after submitting the form, when do the individuals get to see the business plan? Peradventure, they have maybe inputs.
Yeah, okay. Well, the next form we'll be looking at, the second form we'll be looking at, that's the one that's the admin's loan application form. We'll go into details of that one, also break it down just like we did this one. And the business plan, the problem with the business plan is that you develop it online on the portal of NISA Microfinance Bank. This information that will generate from these two forms, which we'll be discussing, there is a template for us to complete on that portal. And the moment you impute those information, the system itself generates the business plan for you. So you're not likely to have the opportunity of making any input at that point. So this is a point at which you need to make all the necessary contribution you will have to make. By the time the business plan is out, we'll send you a copy. And when we send you a copy, and we've had experiences of people raising one or two issues with the business plan, and we say, well, for us to go back and then attend to this business plan, that means we'll have to create another one all over again, which means we'll have to pay the initial 10,000 naira that we paid for developing that business plan. That's where the issue is. But they know what they want. So long as you give them the information, the system generates the responses they want. So the most important thing that we try to always make sure that our members provide for us are the areas of the equipment requirement and then the working capital and then their personal details. Those are things that we'll have to capture. If not, the bulk of the business plan, you find are mostly analysis and some kind of standard narration here and there about the line of business that you want to go into. So, but there isn't much of a problem in that respect, really. The opportunity of reviewing might not be there for you. But when it's done, you can make your observation. If it's so critical that we'll have to redo it, then we'll have to find a way of meeting the costs along the line together.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Any other question? Anselm, I can see you have unmuted. You have any question? Sati, Christy Paul, you have any questions, please? Floor is open. All right. So it looks like there's no questions. So I think we'll now.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma.
I so much enjoy your lecture.
Thank you.
So great. Yeah, I want to ask this loan utilization. Please, can I know more about it?
Yeah, okay. We'll be looking at the next form. We'll explain that one more. Okay. The second form, we'll be looking at that to break down the loan utilization for you better there.
Okay. Are we filling the form online?
You haven't completed the form yet?
No. How am I filling it?
Okay. Are you in Abuja?
Yeah, I'm in Niger State.
Yeah, in Niger State. Okay, we'll send you copies of the form. So you download it and then you complete it and then you send it back to us. Okay, and you need to do that one. We'll send it to you after this training, and then you need to download it and complete and return it to us. You scan and return it to us. Okay.
It's okay.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome, madam. All right, so if there are any other questions, we'll go back and then continue with the lecture. Is that okay? Right, okay. All right, so continue with the lecture now. So how to complete the loan application form and creation of profile on the loan application portal. So there are two loan application form templates on the NISAL portal. The first one is owned by NISAL itself, but finding shows that it's a little bit complex, so we hardly use it. Most of the EDIs hardly use it. But then there's the second one, which we recommend. That one is by a company called Simplified Credit. It's an IT company, which is in partnership with NISAL. And we encourage our clients to use it. Those of you who are doing your business plans, I will also encourage you to do that. The copy is accompanied here with, that's what we'll be looking at now. For you. Right. Okay, so look at that now. The application form, the loan application form is divided into 4 sections. The first section is personal details, then there's the business details, then the loan utilization details, and then the training details, okay? Every section is important and you're expected to complete the form in block letters. So let's look at the form now. So this is the AGMIS loan application form. I want to believe most of you are familiar with this form. For people like Chrissy who hasn't seen it, we'll be sending you exactly this copy, okay? It comes in this form. When you download it, if you don't print it in color, it's likely to come in black and white, but that's how it will look like, okay? It's called the AGMIS loan application form. This is by Simplified Credit, and you will find it on the NISAL Microfinance portal if you are trying to create your business plan. When you go for the interview, the loan interview in the bank, they will also give you this same form again to complete. So apart from completing it for us now, you'll also be given a copy to complete. So we'd like to advise that when you complete the form, you make a copy and keep, so that when you go to the bank during your interview, you'll be able to easily complete it, okay? Right. There are different sections, like we said earlier, the business, the personal details, business details, the loan utilization, which Chrissy asked about. We'll be looking at it, breaking it down for you. Then the training details. Those are the 4 sections. So let's start with the personal details. The personal details is very much like the previous one that we have just discussed. Starts first with the name of the applicant, then the gender, you give us your full names, then your home address, which we discussed earlier, then state of origin and state of residence. These are 2 different things. You could be from Benue State, Kogi State, and resident in Plateau or Nasarawa State. But you could also be from Benue State and resident in Benue or Niger, resident in Niger. So you give us that the differentiation. Then the age, it's here is in brackets between 1835 and then above 35. Then phone number, you give us your phone number and email address. Name of bank, that's your own bank, not the bank that you use currently. Then the bank account number, we want that. Then the BVN, I've already explained about the BVN. So you give us a BVN, it's important and critical. All right. Then the business details, name of business enterprise. I did indicate if you have a registered company and you want to write it, you give it to us. If you don't, you just give us the name of, you write out your name as your business enterprise. So for this one, for example, okay, Serti is not here anymore, so we use the example of Christy. Christy, you just simply say Christy Poultry Farms or Christy Tailoring. So that's the name of the enterprise, okay? Business address, that's where you operate the business. You give us that address. Then company bank account number, if any. Here we advise that you don't complete this one now, even if you have a registered business and you have a business account, don't write that one for us, because what they want here really is the NISA microfinance bank number, account number that they want. And here, when you are invited for the interview, and then at the interview point, you'll give you bank opening accounts form to complete. When you open the complete the form, then they'll give you an account number. That's the number that you eventually fill here. And then the name of the bank will be NISA Microfinance Bank, of course. Type of business activity, we have already looked at that. I will look at the different types of business activity, and then the sector. That's where I highlighted issues like poultry, like fishery, like tailoring, ICT, and all that. And then the sector, agri, hospitality, cosmetic and beauty making, beauty salons, and things like that. So those are your line of business activity. Is it a startup? I've explained startup. Or is it existing? If it's a startup, you say yes. If it's not, you say no. If it's no, then of course means it's existing. So you give us the name of number of years of operation. All right. Then now the loan utilization. Okay, Christy asked about the loan utilization. This is a very, very important section. It's the most important section really of this form, and we have to pay very close attention to it. We have a write-up on it in subsequent pages, so I will go to that those pages and then we'll break it down. But before then, you see the first item there is loan amount. We will not get the loan amount yet until we complete the section on required equipment and then the working capital and then the amounts. By the time we total the amount for required equipment and the working capital, that's when we'll know the loan amount. Okay. Then purpose of loan. Purpose of loan. If it's a startup, you indicate that it's for startup. If it's existing business, it's for expansion. Okay. Tenure is 7 years. We've indicated that it's 7 years. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. So let's look at the little write-up we have on the loan utilization. All right, loan utilization. We'll give you a breakdown of the write-up on that section. Here we are saying this is where we need to pay close attention. The bank wants to know exactly how you intend to use the money. That's the money, the loan you want to take. The loan utilization. How do you intend to use the loan? Okay, you'll be expected to make a proposal here. For instance, I want to use the money to buy A, B, C, D. That's in terms of equipment, or X, Y, Z for such and such an amount. Okay, so the equipment that you want to buy, you have to make a proposal with that respect. The section is divided into two major parts. It asks you to provide details of required equipment and details of working capital. Okay, that's what that section asks of you. Okay, how much you require in terms of working capital, how much you require in terms of equipment. Okay, in the funding model, the bank will finance the assets, that's the equipment, and then give you money for the working capital. The bank realizes that most of loan applicants, we want to put the bulk of their money in the working capital because we all know that we want the raw cash. To check this trend, the bank came up with what they call the golden rule system, that your equipment list should not be less than 70% of your total loan amount, while the working capital is 30%. What this means is that if you want 10 million naira for loan, for example, the loan to be 10 million naira, then the equipment component of that loan should be 70%, that's 7 million. And then the working capital should be 30%, that's 3 million. That's the way the bank has structured it. Previously, it used to give the entire amount for people who are going into agriculture, but they realized that people will simply collect the money and divert it to other uses. So now it's insisting that no, we have to split this money 70-30. And then the 70% for the equipment, they'll still not give you that money directly. They will link you up with a vendor. The vendor will be the one that will help you. You sit with him, discuss with him, identify the equipment you require. He will be the one to help you in paying for the equipment, because the bank wants you to really go into that business. They want you to execute that business. So they want you to buy the equipment necessary for that business, because they want you to operate, set up the business and be able to employ others, be able to make money to pay back the loan. Okay, so they won't want to give you the capital so that you just go ahead and fritter it and then go into some other line of businesses without executing that business. Okay, so that is the expectation. So let's look at how to complete that section or the loan utilization. We'll look at one business in agriculture and then one or two in SME, so as to be able to know how to complete the loan utilization section. All along, we'll be using a poultry business as our example, so we'll continue using the poultry business. So a typical poultry farmer may need the following, okay? Lease of land. And for that, it's set aside 1.2 million, construction of pens, 1 million, battery cages, 800,000, borehole, 600,000, generator, 400,000, egg crates, 100,000, delivery van, 1.5 million. And then you could also have freezer if you want to go into processed chicken, okay, dressed chicken or processed chicken. So this could be your list of equipment, okay, that you need. So this is how you structure the equipment. It should be 70% of the total loan amount. Okay, for working capital, for that same poultry, you have staff salaries at 270,000 naira per annum, broilers and layers. These are your day-old chicks. They are your raw material, your day-old chicks. You set aside 500,000 for broilers, 500,000 for layers. And then utilities are your water bill, your electricity bill, and all of the bills that you need to pay. Okay, we set aside 100,000. And then the fees. Okay, the fees are very, very important and critical. Outside of the day-old layers, the broilers and layers, the fees are the most important, because you have to feed the birds on a day-to-day basis, every minute of the day, every hour of the day, until they mature, until they start producing, or until you sell them as processed or live birds. Okay, so that is for working capital. So when you sum up everything, it gives you the total amount of money that you require. Okay, so let's go back to our forms now and see. All right, so that is the breakdown that we'll have. Okay, for the required equipment, as we indicated, lease of land, generator, we have lease of land, generator, poultry, construction of pens, battery cages, borehole, egg crates, delivery van, and then the amounts against them. And then for working capital, we have staff salaries, we have the day-old chicks, that's the broilers, and then the layers, and then of course we have the utilities and then the fees. and then of course the amount. So it's when you total that amount that you now be able to know the total, the loan amount, okay? You'll be able to complete the loan amount. So that's how you complete that section of your loan utilization. The last section of the loan utilization is source of repayment. What's the source of repayment? That of course will be through the business, the profit from the business, okay, proceeds from the business. That is how you arrive at that amount of money. Okay, so let's look at some other write-up we have here. Okay, so you need to do your feasibility study to find out exactly what you need before completing this form, okay? In conceptualizing the poultry farm, you have to decide if you'll be selling frozen or processed chicken or selling only live birds, okay? If you are selling processed chicken, then like I said, you need a deep freezer, okay? In taking that decision, of course, you know that you are likely to generate more revenue if you are selling also processed birds, even other than live birds. Then not too long ago, we found out that the bank also is advising that those who are going to poultry farming will have to decide on one type of poultry farming, either broiler farming or production of layers. That's those that lay the eggs. So you have to make up your mind what line of poultry you want to go into when you go for the interview, okay? All right, so from the example we gave, the poultry farm will require a total amount of 8.5 million, okay? Working capital of 2.9 million, okay? That's like 31% of the total loan amount, okay? And then let's use the example for SME, for example. For rice processing, business, we will need equipment like destoning machine, rice polishing machine. Those are the main equipments you require for rice processing, okay? But then the working capital, on the other hand, you require money to purchase paddy rice, pay salaries, utilities, and other administrative expenses. In the rice processing business, we should also remember that we have to adhere to the 70-30% rule, okay? Another example could be in catering. If you pick catering, for example, you need equipment like industrial cooker, chillers, deep freezer, food display unit, kitchen utensils, serving plates, furniture, okay? These are all equipment, okay, which you need to break down in your business plan. While your working capital will be made up of rent, salaries, foodstuff, fuel, okay? So this will be your own working capital. So it's important that we know and differentiate and understand and determine what is an equipment and what is working capital, okay? We should also learn to classify them appropriately. That is very, very important. If not, if you go for interview, they might ask you, if you don't determine what is equipment or working capital, you could run into problem there. If, for example, instead of furniture, you say furnishing, there's a difference between furnishing and furniture, okay? And if you indicate furnishing for furniture, then you are likely to run into some challenge there, okay? Because furniture is an equipment, furnishing is a working capital, okay? All right. Another issue that we want to bring to your attention is in the area of working capital. The bank will not support you for a whole year. The bank will only fund it for 3 months. Okay, so for working capital, the bank will only fund it for 3 months. It expects that after 3 months, the business should be able to take over and start taking care of the working expenditure. So if you indicate that your staff salary is 450,000, then you should be able to explain that for 3 months, that is what you need to pay 5 staff at 30,000 naira each, and thereafter the business should be able to self-sustain. If you are in poultry and for furniture, you indicate 1 million and a bag of fees is 10,000, then you should be able to explain how many bags you require for 3 months, okay? So that is how you handle the working capital component, okay? So let's go back to our form again. All right, so the last section on this form is the training details, okay? Here you're asking of the training institution. CEDRON Limited, Nigeria Limited-EDI is a training institution, okay? Training identification number. On Friday, we'll have our graduation. We'll be issuing with certificate, and then that certificate, on that certificate, there is a number. That's the number that you indicate there. Then type of training we're having is entrepreneurship training, and then the duration is 5 days, okay? And then of course, declaration, you're expected to write your name. I, Christy Paul, hereby declare that the particulars given above are correct to the best of your ability, and then you sign it, okay? So that is how you complete that section. All right, so let's wind up on this form. Right, so that is basically about the form. Okay, so other subjects we need to complete on the form. Okay, we talked about the purpose of the loan, startup or expansion, 10 years, 7 years, a list of work equipment and working capital. We have already discussed that. Source of repayment, business profit, we've indicated that. Then the training details, that's what we just discussed now. Training institution, CEDRON-Nigeria Limited-EDI, training ID number, your certificate number. It will be issued to you when you graduate. The type of training is entrepreneurship training program, duration 5 days, okay? All right, and then of course, finally, declaration. After completing the application form, the last section is your declaration that the information provided are to the best of your knowledge, and you could be disqualified if any information provided is found to be false, okay? All right, so we'll now look at the last form. We introduced this form only recently, and that's normally the form that you are given anytime you go to the bank for the interview. It's called a pre-loan approval interview and assessment form, okay? And you'll be expected to complete it. So we have that template. We got a template from the bank for your purpose. So we'll go through it quickly and then explain what it entails. It's not detailed or complex at all. It's basically the same information that you have provided in the previous forms that is still required here. But we'll just try to explain it so that at least you're familiar with it. So this is how the form looks like. It normally has the logo of NISA, but we've just adopted it for our own purpose. So you'll be asked for your phone number, state of origin, LGA, okay? Then that's the title of the form, and NMFB, pre-approval interview and assessment template for AGMI's loan. Right, so these are the inquiries required. Name of beneficiary, we give you a name, age of beneficiary, home address, business address. We've talked about all those already. Business address, if different from home address, okay? NBF account number, if any. Remember I said when you go for this interview, you'll be given the forms to complete. And after completing it, that's when they'll give you the account number. And then of course, that's for the NISA Microfinance Bank. BVN as stated on your application, it's important that you give the BVN. EDI where applicant was trained, CEDRON-Nigeria Limited is your EDI, so you indicate CEDRON. Duration of training is 5 days. Business sector, we've already given you a breakdown of the business sector. It's either agriculture, it's ICT, media and publishing, hospitality. That is the business sector. Business subsector is either poultry, fishery, tailoring, and things like electrical, cape making, and the rest of those things, okay? Cosmetic, hairdressing, all of those things are the various business activities. If existing, that's if the business is existing, please state your total monthly sales, and then total monthly expenses, and then gross profit. Remember we discussed this section elaborately. Your monthly sales, for example, we'll give the example of your chicken. If you sell your crate of egg, for example, for 850 naira, okay, and then of course you indicate it, okay. If you sell, for example, on a monthly basis, up to 10 crates of eggs, okay, 10 crates of eggs on 850 per crate, then you give us a total amount. Then total monthly expenses. Total monthly expenses include your expenses on rent, on salaries, on utilities, administrative costs, okay? You indicate it, okay? So you know how much you spend on a month-to-month basis on those areas. So the gross profit. If your sales is higher than your expenses, then of course you will have profit. But when your monthly expenses is higher than your sales, then of course you know you are running a deficit. So you know how to balance that area, okay? Have you conducted market survey to understand the market for a type of business? If yes, provide details. Remember we talked about, during the SWOT analysis, we talked about doing market survey. Yesterday you discussed about feasibility studies. So you have to do a market survey to find out the kind of products you are going into, and then whether there are issues or risks in that line of market, in that line of business. So you'll be able to tell us whether you've conducted market survey, and then to say whether the business will be sustainable or not. Do you have off-takers for your product or produce? If yes, indicate. Here, when you say off-takers, by off-takers, it means that are there people coming to your business to buy off everything that you produce? Okay, or do you have to take them to the market yourself? If you are, for example, in rice farming, normally what the millers do these days is they bring together groups of farmers, and then they give them the land, and then give them also the implements, and then the materials. They give them the seedlings, they give them the fertilizers, and then organize them in a group, okay, in a cooperative group, and then they carry out the cultivation. When these items, when the rice, for example, is ripe for harvesting, you harvest it, and then the mills that provide you most of this implement, they simply come and buy off everything off you. That is off-takers. Okay, so do you have off-takers for your produce or not? Okay, if you are into tailoring, and then you produce a mass, and people come to buy them off you without you going to the market to look for people to buy, those are off-takers. So that's basically what it means there. Okay, so you indicate if they are off-takers for you. Are you aware of any possible risk that a business may encounter? If yes, provide. Yeah, in the course of doing the SWOT analysis, remember we talk about threats. Those are basically the risk, okay? If you are going into poultry farming or into animal husbandry, then of course you know that there are bound to be some risk, okay? Especially the security risk that we talked about, okay? So what are the things that you need to mitigate it? Okay, provide the details of the risk that you recognize, and then what are the, if yes, how do you mitigate the risk? What are the mitigatory factors? What are the things that you do to minimize the risk that your business is likely to experience? That is what it wants to know here. Purpose of the loan, we have already talked about that. If it's a startup, indicate. If it's existing business, then it's for expansion. Amount required, we've also explained that. How long do you want the loan? The tenure is 7 years, but if you want it lower, 4 or 5 years, you indicate. What is the grace period? Is there a moratorium? Remember, I talked that there is a 1-year moratorium for most of these businesses, okay? But this could be business specific, okay? So if you are going into maybe poultry farm or bakery, for example, a year will be all right for you to be able to start and then let the business take firm root. But if you are going into plantation farming, for example, you want to start palm plantation farming, you know, it takes more than 3 years for a palm plantation palm trees to take fruit, to take roots, and then begin to produce. So the moratorium might have to be more. That's why it says business specific, okay, and may vary. So your own moratorium will be different from that of somebody who is going to poultry or bakery farming. List and cost of each required equipment. Okay, we have already looked at that in details. We'll give an example of somebody going to poultry. You list out the items, then list amount of working, list of any amount of working capital items state in the box. So you also list out the working capital just like we did previously. So you are expected to answer from question 1 to 23. 24, 25, and 26, that will be the responsibility of the bank. That is where they do their own recommendation and assessment, okay? So that is about this form. So we want you to all have that at the back of your mind and then note it, okay? Right, so thank you very, very much for spending the better part of your entire day with us. This is the end of the paper. What we'll do now, we'll open the floor once again so that if you have any question you want to ask, you can ask the question before we close. The day is fast spent, so we'll quickly take questions and then we'll close for the day, okay? So we'll open the class now and then we invite you to have any questions, so please. All right. See, Asama has opened. His mic is unmuted. You can ask any question if you have. Sati, Hilda, Christy. If you have any questions, please, let's take it.
Okay, well done, sir.
Thank you, madam.
When am I expecting the form?
I'll send it right away after this course, after this class. Sorry.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Amsalam, have any question? Sati, Yosha, Hilda.
Okay, sir.
Sati, unmute your mic. Understand your hand is up.
Sir, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, Hilda, I can hear you.
Okay. For the last part of the last form we just discussed now.
Yeah.
The part where we are to fill the assets.
Yeah.
Yes, before you said that will influence how much you're going to put there. Unfortunately, I already put an amount there, but the other part again was left blank. So does this mean now that I will have to fill this form? Are they sending this form back to me?
This particular form that we just discussed?
Yes, the loan application form.
Okay, that's the second form.
Yeah, the last form you just discussed now, where the loan amount is. That section where the loan amount is.
Okay, let's look at that form again.
Hello?
Yeah, this one, is it this form?
No. Before this one.
Okay, that's the loan, the admit loan. All right, let's look at it and see. All right, this one?
Yes, sir.
All right, which section are you talking about now?
The loan utilization.
Yeah.
Yes, so I was saying I already imputed an amount, but the where they wrote provide details of required I think
Equipment.
equipment or things like that was
Mm.
not filled, but the amount I just filled in the amount. So I'm asking if it's going to be sent back for me to fill, or based on um my business they are going to fill it, or I don't know how that is going to be
Okay,
resolved.
if you have a better understanding of it now, and you know the equipment that you require and then the amount, it's still not late for you to complete and return it to us. You have a copy of it,
No, I don't. I filled it physically.
or in our office?
Yes, at Otako. Yeah.
Okay, all right, no problem. We'll complete it and then we'll submit it. But at the end of the day, by the time we do the business plan, you will be able to see a breakdown of the equipment and then the working capital, so you can be able to use that to complete this form when you go for the interview.
Okay, so the equipment and everything, will they put it up in a way that it will align with the amount I have put?
Yes, yeah, of course. They work. What kind of business you want to go for?
It's catering.
Catering. Okay, they will highlight the items to tally with the loan amount.
Okay, sir.
All
All
right.
right, sir.
All
Okay,
right.
sir. Oh.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Madam Chrissy.
Can I come to your office for more guidance?
All right, you can come if you want in Otako.
Okay, can I get the address?
I'll send it to you. But I thought you say you're in Niger State.
Yes.
You want to come all the way from Niger?
Yes, I need more guidance on it.
All right, no problem. We'll send you the address then.
Okay.
All right, madam. All
So
right,
what
any
time?
other question? Yes, sorry?
I say what time in the office? From Monday to Friday, what time?
We're here till 5 every day.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Let me get the address. Thank you.
All right, welcome, madam. We'll send it. Any other question again? Anselm, starting. What was for you too? All right. There's no any other question. I want to thank you immensely for spending the better part of your day with us. We'll reconvene again tomorrow for the last paper and for the last day. We'll be having business law tomorrow. Colleague Barrister Johanna will come in to take the class. So the day is fast spent. Let me allow you to go and complete the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead of you. All right. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Thank you. Mm-hmm.